Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. The fun doesn't end. We got two more games to talk about here on this Sunday slate. Saturday was Saturday was a doozy, man. We had some really close games and some not some, close games, and we got something to talk about in this first one. So, yeah, we got something to talk about in this first one, but without, divulging even further, let's go dive in to these two games. Tulsa, Orlando, you're up first. All right. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, or the lack thereof an elephant in the room. Rob Keefe out as head coach of the Orlando Pirates. Yes, a bombshell dropped. How does that affect this preview? Well, we'll see how much it does within, the preview and betting and stuff like that. But this is a huge thing. This is a huge thing and an ongoing issue with Orlando and Massachusetts. The amount of head coaches that this program has gone through is incredible. And just not to pump their tires, but the consistency and the winning ways that they have, going through all these coaches too, it's kind of insane to think about. But we'll get more in depth with that here in a minute. But I do want to have that here, just if you didn't know, now you know. But we are on the Yahoo Sports Network on our 4 p.m. Eastern Time coverage, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central Time if you are in the Central States. We have the 1-0 Tulsa Oilers taking on the 2-0 Orlando Pirates. One of these teams will remain undefeated for another week. The other one suffers their first loss. So for this one, Orlando having some tumultuous ways right now, and Tulsa coming off some bye weeks and only having one game within 4 weeks of the season. We'll see if it's more of a rest versus rust kind of thing here, but that's why we preview it, baby. Let's take a look at our season leaders right here. TJ Edwards in just his one game, 15 of 23, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And again, these are stats from the Indoor Football League website, so are they accurate? You be the judge. Paxton DeLaurent, 36 of 47, 386 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Your rushing leaders, Jamal Bell, 9 attempts, 26 yards, no touchdowns. And Paxton DeLaurent, 19 attempts, 78 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Taking a look at our receiving leaders for both sides, Spencer Tiers, 5 catches, 60 yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And Tio Redding, 10 catches, 135 yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. So again, the offenses for both sides, one team only playing one game. It's not bad. They did struggle a little bit. They just couldn't punch it into the end zone. On the other side, 2 games in for Orlando, they look all right. Take a look at the injury report right here. A couple of additions for the Oilers. Dylan Wright and CJ Wright, if your last name is Wright, do not play for the Tulsa Oilers. You're put on short-term injured reserve along with Rempert and Anthony James. For the Orlando Pirates, nothing to really talk about with this one either. Just your same additions from a couple weeks ago: Copeland, Brant Epps, Johnson, and Evans. Taking a look over here at our game odds presented by DraftKings, we have a -1.5, which I haven't checked since this whole thing happened, so the odds could have switched, but this is what the opening lines were if I'm not mistaken. -1.5, but +100 for Orlando on the spread, so again, that could have changed. +1.5 for Tulsa, -120, so it's actually the favorite to bet the underdog, if that makes sense, for Tulsa. Like, you're going to get more money back if you bet Orlando and the spread as the favorite. Less money if you do Tulsa as the road underdog here. So it's crazy how these odds kind of went. We have an over-under of 84.5, and money line favors Tulsa somehow, some way, even though the spread favors Orlando. So -105 for the Oilers, -115 for the Pirates. Kind of a wacky spread that we have in this one. Not your typical one that you're normally seeing where the team is favored, and when the team is favored, they have that minus designation for them as well, while the underdog has plus money. So, crazy. We are at the Kia Center in Orlando, Florida. Again, 4 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on the Yahoo Sports Network. You can stream it for free on their 24/7 YouTube channel or find it on their fast channels. There's plenty of ways to watch it. Our series head-to-head actually favors the Pirates, although the last meeting, Tulsa got the benefit of it. Week 17, 2025, they pull out the victory 35-28 in overtime. Oilers looking to, get closer and closer to that 500 mark. Pirates looking to take a 5-2 advantage. So, with everything there, we need to go talk about our 25-man rosters. We need to go take a look at our bet and prediction. We still have another preview to do after this one. So, let's go take a look. All right, we need to take a look at the 25-man rosters as they are on our screen, starting with the away side first. For the Tulsa Oilers, TJ Edwards and Clifton McDowell are your quarterbacks. Edwards most likely getting the start, barring anything crazy. Running back Jamal Bell, we'll see if he can continue his kind of start to the season. It wasn't the best start, but again, only scoring 29 points and the offense getting down there towards the red zones and towards the goal lines, not being able to punch it in. We'll see if Jamal Bell has that opportunity this week to do so. Take a look at the wide receivers, Jermaine Smith, Larry Harrington, Spencer Tiers, and coming off a short-term injured reserve, Cassian Foreman. So we'll see how well he fits into the offensive scheme. Otherwise, it's probably going to be Smith, Harrington, and Tiers being your starters. Foreman will probably fit in there, but not a lot of depth at those skill positions right now for the Oilers. Offensive line, Jeremy West, Landon Burton, Terrence McLean, Brandon Baldwin, and Vashawn Bailey. So we'll see how it kind of goes with that. I'll be honest, I cannot remember who started the first game against San Antonio. So out of those 5, 3 of them will, and I'm almost guaranteeing, I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'm almost guaranteeing the other 2 will suit up as an opportunity. If they're going to try and run the ball a little bit or do what they do, you might need that extra offensive lineman for some oomph, especially in the goal line situations, as we mentioned earlier. Defensive line, Ulrich Jones has been re-signed for another season. He just came back. He didn't make the first round cuts, but there you go. So he's back regardless. Nusi Milani, John McMullen, and Kevin Thurman, with McMullen coming back from short-term injured reserve as well, the former Tucson Sugar Skull. So there is some firepower right there on that defensive line with Jones, McMullen, and Thurman, as you see the veteran status there with the experience. Milani as well did play a pretty good game against San Antonio too. Linebackers include Dylan Petway and Marquez Bembry. We'll see if they're actually linebackers or if Trey Harvey drops back down to that usual spot that he normally does. Into that secondary, Tariq Bracey, Sedarius Doss, Malik Saunier, Mark Shepard, and Frederick Millay, with Trey Harvey rounding it out. So again, a lot of defensive secondary. Trey Harvey might jump down to that linebacker spot, in which case I would honestly think, if I remember correctly, it's Bracey, Doss, Saunier, and Shepard, I believe, were your starters, with Millay being your super sub. Could be mistaken, but if that is the case and Trey Harvey does drop down to that linebacker spot, I think, again, you have 4 of those starters, 1 is your sub. We'll see how it kind of goes. And then with Harvey being the linebacker, it's probably Bembry getting the backup position. We'll see if Petway suits up or not, and we'll kind of go from there. Your kicker is Bailey Hale, and that's your 25-man roster for the Tulsa Oilers. To the other side of things, to the home side, the Orlando Pirates, James Blackman, Paxton Dalen Ront are your quarterbacks. Dalen Ront most likely being your starter, with Blackman being the backup. Running back is Puka Williams, which, more success for him. Wide receivers include Isaiah McCoy, Naquan Murray, Tio Redding, Dante Wright, and Thomas Owens. In the last 2 games that they've played, it's been the bottom 4 guys, with Dante Wright being the sub. So Murray, Redding, and Owens being slotted in as your veteran wide receivers. Again, just a lot of firepower on that offense. Offensive line, Jordan McCray, Natai Rogers, Nick Jones, and Darta Lee. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's been McCray, Rogers, and McCray, Jones, and Lee, with Rogers kind of being that sub. Regardless if it's Rogers or Jones, I'm pretty sure it's McCray and Lee being your other starters with that. But we'll see kind of how things progress as, obviously, the game gets closer. Defensively, Randy Carlton. I'm going to say Carlton from now on. Jock Bristol, Mike Mason, and DJ Dale to round it out. Again, your bottom 3, Bristol, Mason, and Dale being most likely your starters, with Carlton being the backup. Linebackers include Latavius Brini and Kerry Coleman. Brini most likely your starter, but Coleman did see action in the game against Quad City, so both of them will most likely suit up. Into the secondary, DJ Daniel, Roe Torrance, Dexter Lawson Jr., Destin Mack, and Will Sunderland. So again, 4 of those will be starters. 1 will most likely be your backup. And if I thought correctly, it's going to be Daniel, Torrance, Mack, and Sunderland as your starters. Could be mistaken. Dexter Lawson being that sub. Anything can happen. Kicker is Axel Perez. That is your 25-man roster for the Orlando Pirates. That is your 25-man roster for your Tulsa Oilers. We needed to preview this a little bit further, so we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction, talk more about this head coaching situation thing and how it factors into this, and then we move on to the nightcap of our Sunday night preview. So let's go dive in. All right, so we need to talk bet and prediction. We need to dive a little bit deeper into this. Rob Keefe has resigned as the head coach of the Orlando Pirates. Rod Windsor is assuming the head coaching duties. So we have to look at this from the aspect of, how does that affect this game? How does that affect the the players, the coaches, everything like that. Does it really play an impact the day before the game? I don't really know, because I doubt Rod Windsor and company are changing the game plan all of a sudden just because Rob Keefe is no longer there. My best bet for this one, I wanted to call an audible. I'm not going to call an audible right now. I still have -1.5 for the Pirates. I do that because it is plus money too as well. So if Orlando wins by 2 or more points, you do get plus 100. So your $10 bet becomes $10 plus 10, so $20. That's if Orlando wins. I can see a scenario where Tulsa comes out, takes the victory, but it's weird. I said this on the Shady Sports show yesterday. The devil magic that Orlando has right now, I think that there's an opportunity for them to go 3-0 here, even with the disjointedness of what's gone on the last day or two. Now, does that impact them throughout the rest of the season? Of course it does. But for one game right now, I think everything goes kind of status quo, all things considered, and then you start to revamp some things. But for all intents and purposes, I think this is what, at least in my opinion, is going to go on. Tulsa, do not get me wrong, they're nothing to sneeze at. They did have opportunities in the game against San Antonio where they just couldn't get the ball into the end zone. They tried and tried and tried, but fourth down attempts and goal line stands and everything like that, the offense was clicking. The offense was moving, and I expect more of that. I mean, Orlando, as we've talked in their last game or two, both their games this season, they've given up points. You know, whether to New Mexico or Quad City, they've given up points. I see no difference here with Tulsa. Tulsa's going to score points. Orlando's going to score points. That's why the spread is so close. However, I think Orlando, with their skill positions, has just a little bit more of a veteran presence. It's not to say the veteran presence of the wide receiving room and everything like that for Tulsa is bad, but the lack of skill positions could be worn down if that offense just stays out there and they can't convert, just like they did against San Antonio. I'm basing it basically off that. Now, could I be completely wrong? Probably. Can Tulsa come out and T.J. Edwards is slinging the ball around, running, doing all that? Yes, but you need a big game from Jamal Bell to do so. You don't have a lot of depth of wide receivers to do too much. You only have the 4 wide receivers on their roster. So, again, very thin at that skill position. Is that enough to keep Orlando's defense on the field and wear them down? We'll see. But with what Orlando has defensively in that secondary, in that defensive line, I do think that they have an opportunity here to really shut down Tulsa. Now, if it gets down to a low-scoring game, I think I favor the Oilers, but Puka Williams has that opportunity. Paxton De Laurent can take off and run if he needs to. He's not necessarily a statue by any means, but he has that ability to run. He's scored rushing touchdowns. We've seen Puka Williams break off some good runs as well. So, for all intents and purposes, I do like that a little bit more than what Tulsa has to offer right now. But with what Tulsa brings in with Ulrich Jones, John McMullen, Trey Harvey, and that secondary, is that enough to sustain stopping Orlando? You know, if Orlando cannot get their passing game going or their running game, they need both dimensions. Otherwise, Tulsa has an opportunity to shut down one of them. And if you can make Paxton De Laurent a little uncomfortable, because he hasn't really been too uncomfortable, whether that's him having the game slow down for him or whether that's just kind of a lack of a pass rush or anything from New Mexico or Quad City, which Quad City did get after him. They did get tackles for losses and things like that, but we'll see if it's more of the same here. On the other side for Orlando, their defense has given up points. Is that enough for them to make this game a shutdown, given everything considered with the coaching and everything like that? Again, Rob Keefe being a defensive-minded coach. Does anything change here? That's where we get into it a little bit. Can Latavius Brini and company in that linebacker spot, can they get after Edwards and either keep him in the pocket and make him force throws he doesn't want? Or is it going to be more of T.J. Edwards being able to slice and dice him? Being able to run and take off and extend the play and get out of the pocket and scramble if he needs to and find Larry Harrington, find Spencer Tears, Jermaine Smith, whoever. Can they hand it off to Jamal Bell? We'll find out. But I lean a little bit more towards Orlando in this one. I can't remember if I said my prediction or not, but 45-41 in favor of the Pirates. I know I've been rambling here, but I'm trying to get both sides here. So, yeah, really short one here when it comes to the prediction. I should have said that a lot sooner, but 45-41 in favor of the Pirates, and I have them at -1.5. Like I said, with everything that goes on with this head coaching change, I don't think it's going to affect this game because we're so close to it. It's literally the day of or the day before when Rob Keefe resigned, so everything's already in place. You just have to go out and play the game. We'll see how that kind of pertains to it, but And you talk about 3-4 games down the road, what changes? What schemes change with Rod Windsor at the helm? Everything like that. We'll talk about that obviously at later times with later games and stuff, but it's definitely a factor you have to put in later on down the road. I don't think it really affects this game too much. Because like I said, I really wanted to change my pick to Tulsa, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stick to my guns here and at least think. Could be completely wrong here because I might be overthinking it, but at least think that this won't affect the game. The players are like, okay, shit, coach, excuse me, I cussed, but like, oh, coach is gone. We still need to go out and either play for him for one game or whatever, or play for the coaches that are still here, whatever the case could be. I don't know anything behind closed doors. You don't really know anything behind closed doors. I think really only Peter Schwartz and Jawad and Rob Keefe, and really only those people know what's behind closed doors. So with that, we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see. This could fall flat on my face and Tulsa just buries them. I don't see it. I think this is a close game. The spread says it's going to be a close game, so maybe it is. We'll find out. But 45-41 in favor of the Pirates with a -1.5 designation to our best bets, and you get plus money if they do that. So let's go Pirates, I guess. But anyway, we need to go take a look at our second preview, and we'll wrap everything up. We'll get out of here. All right, we need to take a look at preview number 2, and we got a nightcap here. We have a banner raising ceremony. Can you believe we're 5 weeks into this season, and we still have home games. We still have home openers for people to talk about, and we'll talk about a home opener in a week or two with the away team, but the home team gets to open up here, and they've already played 2 games. So Jacksonville at Vegas. Vegas is hosting the Sharks as they raise their banner from their 2025 Indoor Football League National Championship. We are at a 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Yahoo Sports. So again, both games on this weekend being on Yahoo Sports. Go find it on the YouTube 24/7 live stream. Go find it on their fast channel. Go to yahoo.com and go to their live there. And there's plenty of ways so you can find these games. Watch them for free. There's no reason why you can't have a nice little indoor football Sunday matinee and nightcap. So let's take a look at our season leaders for both sides. Only the one game for the Sharks, but James Cahoon played pretty well against Northern Arizona. 11 of 21, not the most accurate, but 175 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, these are the Indoor Football League stats. Take them with a grain of salt. They could be accurate. They could not be accurate. Jaden DeLora, 24 of 32, 254 yards, 8 touchdowns in the 2 games, no interceptions. This is one stat I did do by myself. Jimmy Robinson, 13 carries, 40 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. They had him at 4 rushing yards, which they had designated a -40 fumble recovery by, I think, Traveris Farrell for Northern Arizona. So I went through and did everything. I think Jacksonville actually had him at 50 rushing yards when they said he was like their player of the game on their social media. So who knows what the stats are? Who knows? You don't. I don't. No one does. Yay. But I got him here at kind of a more conservative 40 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. He could have an extra 10. I have no idea. Josh Tomas, 20 carries, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns. And your receiving leaders for both sides, Markel Wade, 3 catches, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Quentin Randolph, 7 catches, 73 yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. So he's caught half of Jaden DeLore's touchdowns, which that connection is clearly there. Taking a look at our injury report for both sides, Larry Elder, the only one for the Sharks, put on here just a couple of days ago. It's a short-term injured reserve for him. And for the Nighthawks, no really big news. Now, granted, they haven't played in like a week, but John Irby, Cedric Wilcox, Bryce Hampton are all still on there. Deshaun Stoudemire has been added as of a week or 2 ago, but again, how does that impact Vegas? We'll take a look at the 25-man roster here in a second, but there you have it. Game odds presented by DraftKings over here for both sides. -3.5 for the banner raisers. Vegas favored by almost 4 at home. +3.5 for Jacksonville on the road. Over-under is 86.5. And our money line favors the Nighthawks -155 and +130 if you want the road underdog for Jacksonville to pull the upset and spoil the night. For our game information, we are at the Lee's Family Forum in Henderson, Nevada on Yahoo Sports Network, as we mentioned prior. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, so set your clocks accordingly. This should be a very fun game. Our head-to-head features the Nighthawks up 2-1. These guys have already played each other 3 times being in separate conferences. It's not that hard to schedule other teams in other conferences, guys. We got to do it. We still have first meetings, man. Like Jacksonville's first meeting against Northern Arizona. You can schedule teams from other conferences. You don't have to play everyone 3 times. Anyway, 2-1 in favor of Vegas. Jacksonville taking the actual victory the last time they played. Week 3, 2025, 36-19. So while Jacksonville got the victory in Week 3 of last year, Vegas got the last laugh of raising the banner and raising a trophy, which Jacksonville wants to do sometime soon as well. So with that, we need to go take a look at our 25-man roster. We need to take a look at our bet and our prediction. Then we need to wrap everything up. We need to get out of here and go enjoy our Sunday slate of Indoor Football League action. All right, 25-man rosters on the screen here. We'll take a look at the away side first. On the left side, James Cahoon and Sammy Edwards being your quarterbacks for the Jacksonville Sharks, with Cahoon getting the start. Jimmy Robinson, your running back for Jacksonville, the only one on the roster. And with the addition of a couple of guys off of short-term injury reserve, we go to the wide receiving room with Markel Wade, Billy Bowens, Jaden Stoshak, Red Douglas, Jalen May, the one coming off of short-term injury reserve, and Lowell Patron rounding it out. That's a lot of wide receivers. We'll see how many. 3 are probably going to start, and then you might have 1, possibly 2, suit up as, you've got your 5 now designated 22-man roster for some of your subs. Offensive line includes Baraka Beckett, Dante Lucas, Chasen Hines, and Kenny Furman, however it's pronounced, excuse me. We'll see how that kind of goes. I believe it's been Lucas, Beckett, and Furman, with Hines being that sub, but I could be mistaken. We'll see who they trot out as the game progresses and starts and all of that. Defensively, Chris Rice, Devontae Davis, Jalen Williams, and D'Amico Rowland rounding out that defensive line. And I do apologize because it's been a long time since this team has played. They've only played the one game, so I'm pretty sure it's been Rice. I think it's Rice, Davis, and Williams, if I'm not mistaken, with Rowland being your sub, but I could be completely wrong here. So, again, kind of the same thing with that offensive line. We'll see who they roll out there because it can rotate. We know they'll probably suit up all 4 of those guys as they want to rotate defensive linemen in and out to keep that fresh. Linebacker is Isaiah Major, and moving to the secondary, Clay Fields, John Huggins, Chris Chukwuneke, Dylan Brown, and Robert Jones. And I believe it was the top 4 with the start here with Fields, Huggins, Chukwuneke, and Dylan Brown. Could be mistaken, but I know Fields had that interception. Huggins and Chukwuneke are going to be your starters, and I can't remember if Brown or Jones was your starter. So, again, apologies for the ignorance there, but we'll see how it goes. Again, 5 defensive backs. 1 will probably be a sub as 4 others get the start. Kicker is being Mark Orozco. That is your 25-man roster for the Jacksonville Sharks. Taking a look at the home side here for the quarterback position, Jaden Delora and Yvonne Rucker, rounding it out with Delora being your starter, Rucker being your backup. Running back is Josh Tomas. With the wide receivers, only 3 wide receivers, so very thin and lean right here at the skill positions. Quentin Randolph, Seneca McKee, and Phoenix Sproul. So not a lot when it comes to how they're going to go about this. There's no rest. You hope for no injuries, man, because that could really throw this thing off kilter. Offensive linemen include Christian Coulter, Sidney Walker, Zach Fortier, Charles Turner III, and Moses Mallory. So 5 offensive linemen, 3 are going to start. It's most likely going to be Mallory, Walker, and Coulter. Maybe Fortier gets in there, I'm sure. But, again, you'll have your super sub there. They probably need a little bit more on that offense for that firepower when it comes to that, because otherwise you're looking at a defensive back possibly playing a wide receiver role. Defensively, Lorenzo Hernandez, Kai Von Bennett, former Jacksonville Sharks, so maybe a little bit of a revenge game right there. Dylan Ruiz, Damon Williams, and Billy Martin. So, again, 3 of those guys going to start. Ruiz did play. I can't remember if he started the previous game for Vegas, but I know Ruiz got in there. Damon Williams and Billy Martin have gotten in there. Bennett's gotten in there. All 5 of these guys have played, so we'll see who rolls out with the start. Hernandez will probably get the start. I think Billy Martin will get the start, and we'll see if it's Ruiz, Bennett, or Williams for that 3rd spot. Linebackers include Trinelius Tatum and Ian McBurrow. Tatum and McBurrow have kind of split the starting roles. I believe McBurrow started against Green Bay, and then Tatum started the previous game. I believe Tatum will probably get the start, but remains to be seen. We'll see how that kind of, portrays, or not portrays, that's not the word I'm looking for. We'll see how that kind of goes. I'll use more layman's terms. See how it goes as the game goes. Secondary, Clifton Duck, Fred Flavors, Terry Roberts, Urshad Davis, and Keyshawn Cobb to round it out. For the starters here, I'm pretty sure it's Duck, Flavors, Roberts, and then I think it's Davis. Could be wrong, but Keyshawn Cobb will probably suit up, or one of those guys will probably suit up as your 5th player in the secondary. Again, 22-man rosters. You can suit up that extra player compared to prior years, so we'll see how it kind of goes and what the strategy is for both sides here. The kicker for Vegas being Gabriel Rui, and that is your 25-man roster for your Vegas Nighthawks. Your 25-man roster for your Jacksonville Sharks. With that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction, preview this game a little bit further, and we move on from there. We wrap up, get out of here. So with that, let's go. All right, we need to take a look at our bet and our prediction for this one for both sides. Minus 155 for Vegas. They just need to win by a point, and yeah, that's the longest odds on the board. You could take the spread, but I think this is going to be kind of a close game. I do. Now, my prediction won't reflect that because, I mean, hell, I'll just get that out of the way right now. 46-42, I'll just get it right out of the way. I've got a 4-point victory, so you can bet the spread right now. But I don't really trust that. I throw those predictions and stuff out there to kind of go along those Vegas lines and then alter it to how I think it's going to go. So I do think Vegas does pull out this victory, but you have to ask the question here, if you are Jacksonville, is this game against Jacksonville, or was the game against Northern Arizona for Jacksonville how it's supposed to be? Or is it, Jacksonville's actually good? And that's not to discredit the Sharks or anything like that, but Vegas has lost to Green Bay, and they've beaten the snot out of Tucson. The same Tucson team that won a game against New Mexico. New Mexico just beat Northern Arizona, so if we're going transitive property, that loss or that victory against Northern Arizona looks a little bit less because of, Northern Arizona losing, New Mexico losing, Tucson losing, Vegas. So you can see where we're getting that property from. So if so facto, Vegas should blow this team out right now. It'll be a close game. I do worry a little bit in this game, the lack of depth at the skill position for Vegas. That's the reason I think it will be a close game. You only have 3 wide receivers. You only have the 1 running back. So you will have Josh Tomas going out there an empty set as a slot wide receiver or motion man or whatever the case could be, and you wonder what can happen if that offense does get worn down. We mentioned the same thing with Orlando and Tulsa earlier in the preview. We'll see. There's a lot of depth right there at the wide receiver position for Jacksonville, so they might be able, depending on how they want to go about it, they might be able to rotate guys in and out and keep those wide receivers healthy. Yes, they really only have Jimmy Robinson at the running back spot, but being able to spell him for a different wide receiver or a jet sweep or things like that could keep that offense going a little bit more. Now, defensively, for both sides, I do like Vegas's defense just a little bit more than I like Jacksonville's, just because it's a little more proven than Jacksonville's defense is, but that's not to say Jacksonville's defense can't rise to the occasion. So, on that defensive side, can Lorenzo Hernandez, can Billy Martin, can Trent Tatum, can all these guys, can they get after James Cahoon? We know James Cahoon is more of a pocket passer, than he is a runner. Again, he can take off and run when he needs to, but he doesn't really need to if you got Jimmy Robinson and jet sweeps and everything like that going with it. So, can you get after the quarterback? If you're Vegas, can you make that life tough? Now, he's not a rookie. They did that against Draylon Ellis, and they tried to do it against Liam Thompson, and Liam Thompson kind of ran all over him. So we'll see how it kind of goes. Same thing with this too. In the secondary for Vegas, can they lock down the wide receivers? I can see them locking down the wide receivers a little bit compared to the wide receivers being locked down for Jacksonville. Now, John Huggins and Chris Chukwuneke are probably going to go up against Phoenix Sproles and Quentin Randolph and see how that kind of goes, and then someone else is going to line up against Seneca McKee. But is that enough? We will see. Because if Jaden Delora can't use his arm, he might be able to use his legs, and Josh Tomas, definitely a jack of all trades, rushing, receiving, and kick return. He could play the X factor in this game. He could, because if that offense is sputtering, you might need a spark on that side. Josh Tomas can provide it if you just put him somewhere on that side of the field, whether it's out wide, next to the quarterback, whatever the case could be. Delora can use his legs too, so you can still try and make Vegas one-dimensional. They can still try and kind of weasel their way out of it. Same thing for Jacksonville. You can try and make them one-dimensional and either shut down the passing game and rely on Jamie Robinson to make runs, but then again, you're dealing with Lowell Patron or Markel Wade or Jaden Stoshak kind of getting these jet sweeps. We've seen it happen in the past. So we'll go from there. Defensively, can you get after Jaden Delora if you are the Jacksonville defense? Can you stop the running game and the jitterbug that is Josh Tomas? We'll find out. That defensive line and even the linebacker spot, are they going to get picked on? We will see. Now, I'm not saying that Jacksonville is going to get creamed or anything like that. This is the reason it's 46-42. I think this is a close game. However, I will admit I will be kind of shocked if Jacksonville wins this. I will, mainly just due to the fact that I think Vegas is a superior team. That could be recency bias and obviously the championship and stuff like that, but look at the veteran presence that they have at the 25-man roster that we just talked about compared to what Jacksonville has. Jacksonville can develop, but they normally kind of develop these players going on kind of late, and it's kind of how it's gone in the last couple of years. So is this buck the trend? I'm not sure, but Jacksonville can play this game close, and if they win, I'm not going to lie, I will be a little shocked because I think Vegas has this one. Granted, it's a close one. Excuse me. Then you look at both kickers, and you look at the special teams. Josh Tomas, Jimmy Robinson, man, or whoever they have back there, whether it's Markel Wade or whether Lil Patron. I think those guys have played special teams before too. I don't know. Gabriel Rui, Marco Roscoe, they can hit deuces, they can hit field goals. That could play a huge factor into this as well too. So again, what some people might think is a game that could be run away by Vegas or maybe even Jacksonville pulling the upset, it's going to be a very tough game. And so I'm also curious to see how Jacksonville goes after only playing one game in 4 weeks. We'll see. Vegas has only played 2 games in 4 weeks. They've gone, on the road. They've come back here. Now their home game. Jacksonville's only had 1 road game. So they're road warriors as well, too. We'll see how this kind of portrays it. But that's where we have it with this one, guys. We've got a 46-42 victory in favor of the Vegas Nighthawks as they, christen their championship banner. And we have the Nighthawks on the money line. Excuse me. So with that, we need to take a look at, we don't need to take a look. We're done with our previews. We need to go wrap up, and we need to get out of here. And that is it for our preview for Week 5's Sunday action. Just the 2 games, both on Yahoo Sports. So there's no excuse for you guys not to watch this. It's all free. They have a YouTube channel dedicated to 24/7 access. You can literally type in YouTube and go to Yahoo Sports on YouTube, and it should pop right up as a live stream. If not, you click on their channel, go to live, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, there are plenty of outlets you can go to watch these games. But we got our final 2 games. They should be doozies. We got 3 Eastern Conference teams, all undefeated. So at least one of them is going to stay undefeated, but there's an opportunity for at least 2 teams to be undefeated when it comes to that. So with all of that, we'll see how it kind of goes. But that's pretty much it. And then we mosey on into Week 6 and go from there, and we just kind of keep going about it. So with it, we have, 2 games on Friday going into Week 6? So it'll be here quicker than we know it. But until then, I'm going to take off here, guys. I love and appreciate you. If you want to, like, comment, share, subscribe, neat. If you don't, then neat. But until then, I will catch you guys in the next previews and stuff like that. We got a busy, busy day here in the Bryant household, so we'll go from there. But until then, I will catch you guys in the next video, and let's see what we can do for our final 2 games in Week 5. But until then, see ya.